On a beach in Wildwood, New Jersey, there's a small outdoor arena called Ringer Stadium. Every June, children between the ages of 7 and 14 are flown in from across the country to compete there for a national title and a college scholarship. The sport they play has been running since 1922. It's been going longer than the Super Bowl, longer than the NBA Finals, and longer than the Oscars. Most people have never heard of it. It's marbles. And that's the least surprising thing about this world. This is what people keep, and the surprisingly lucrative world of antique marbles. The first thing to understand is that these aren't the marbles you remember, the marbles you played with as a kid, the cat's eyes, the swirlies, the ones that lived in a coffee can in your dad's garage. Those came out of a machine. By the 1950s, American factories were turning out millions of marbles a day per plant, each one identical, each one cheap, each one effectively worthless to a serious collector. The marbles serious collectors want were made before any of that existed. They were made one at a time by hand in the gas-lit workshops of central Germany, by men who could shape molten glass into a perfect sphere in under a minute and never make the same one twice. A good German handmade swirl from the 1880s in nice condition will set you back a few $100s at auction. A great one, a few thousand. The rarest routinely cross $10,000. The auction record for a single antique marble now runs into the mid-$30,000 range. Morphy Auctions in Pennsylvania has recorded individual marbles selling for over $36,000. For a marble. To understand how that happens, you have to go back a very long way. Children have been rolling small round objects for as long as we have records of children doing anything. Archaeologists have found stone and clay spheres in Egyptian tombs, in Roman excavations, in the ruins of the Indus Valley civilization going back 4,500 years. Nobody invented marbles. They seem to have invented themselves independently, wherever children and round things existed in the same place. The marble as a game is ancient. The marble as a work of art, that story has one address. Lauscha. It sits in a steep valley in the green heart of Germany, tucked into the Thuringian forest. Today, it has about 3,500 people. In 1597, two glassblowers named Hans Greiner and Christoph Müller built a glassworks here, drawn by three things: timber, sand, and clear running water. For the next 200 years, Lauscha made bottles, drinking glass, beads. Then, around 1850, something extraordinary happened. A glassmaker from the Greiner family invented a tool, a pair of specialized scissors with curved jaws that could shear molten glass cleanly off the end of a cane. What that meant was that for the first time in human history, you could produce a perfect sphere of glass, cheaply, beautifully, by hand. The Lauscha glassblowers ran with it. They invented entire categories: the swirl, the latticinio, and the strangest of all, the sulfide. A perfectly clear marble with a small white porcelain figure suspended inside it. A dog, a bird, a horse, a child kneeling in prayer. They look impossible. Collectors also prize Lutz marbles, which contain copper aventurine, a material that creates a shimmering gold dust effect in the glass. For about 60 years, this tiny German valley quietly supplied the world's children with the most beautiful toys ever made. And then, in the summer of 1914, it ended. The First World War cut Germany off from its largest customer, the United States. Trade stopped. The young men who knew how to do this work went to the trenches. Many of them didn't come back, but that's not what killed it. What killed it was already happening in a workshop in Akron, Ohio. A Danish immigrant named Martin Frederick Christensen had figured out how to do the entire thing without a person at all. In 1902, he filed a patent for a machine, a pair of grooved wheels turning in opposite directions, shaping molten glass into a perfect sphere automatically. By 1910, his Akron factory was producing 10,000 marbles a day with 33 employees. The German handmade marble, that exquisite craft perfected over 300 years, was now competing with a machine that never slept. It didn't survive. Around 1949 to 1950, Japanese manufacturers developed the cat's eye marble. When the United States lifted post-war tariffs on Japanese toys in the 1950s, cat's eyes flooded the American market at prices no domestic manufacturer could match. One by one, the great American marble companies closed. The era of serious marble craftsmanship was effectively over, and the cat's eye became the thing almost everyone alive today remembers when they think of a marble. For about 50 years after that, almost nobody cared. The German handmade marbles were mostly in jars, in sock drawers, in the bottom of toy chests. They were the things grandmothers gave away. They weren't collectible. They weren't valuable. They were just old. And then, in 1973, an accountant from Trumbull, Connecticut, started placing classified ads. His name was Stanley Block. He had started collecting marbles in the 1960s and was struck by an unsettling thought. There had to be other people doing this somewhere. He took out ads in antiques publications. The letters started coming back. In 1975, Stan Block founded the Marble Collectors Society of America. By the time he died in July of 2020, at the age of 87, more than 12,000 people had been members. He donated a comprehensive collection to the Smithsonian in 1984 and another to the Corning Museum of Glass. His son, Bob, took over the society in 2016 and now runs the auction house that set that $19,000 record. The Blocks are, essentially, the Vatican of marble collecting. The community has shows, real ones, in hotel ballrooms and convention centers all over the country. The Northeast Marble Meet in Connecticut has been going for over 40 years. There's a Texas show, a Florida show, and a show in Mexico City, something called Marbles on the Beach, and a 3-day marble festival in Podden City, West Virginia, every September. And then there's the National Marbles Tournament. Since 1922, on a beach in Wildwood, New Jersey, children between the ages of 7 and 14 have been competing for the title of National Marble Champion. The players are called Mibsters. They win college scholarships. The 2026 tournament will be the 103rd. So let's talk about the money. Because the money in antique marbles is the part nobody believes. A typical mass-produced marble from the 1950s is worth essentially nothing. 25 cents, $1 in good condition. A nice handmade German swirl will run you somewhere between $50 and $300. A rare onion skin with brilliant colors and tiny flecks of mica can hit a few thousand. A great Lutz with the gold dust effect will cross 5,000 without anybody flinching. In October of 2023, a handmade single-ribbon onion skin with mica sold at Block's Marble Auctions for $19,200. At Morphy Auctions in 2012, a rare pink swirl Lutz marble sold for $25,800. In April of 2026, at Morphy's again, a shrunken core onion skin with blizzard mica sold for $36,285. For marbles, why does any of this cost what it costs? It's not really about age, it's 4 things in this order: type, condition, size, and eye appeal. A common type in mint condition is worth less than a rare type with a chip. A small example of a great pattern is worth 1/10 of a large one, and eye appeal can quadruple the price of 2 otherwise identical examples. There is also a quieter problem the community talks about constantly: forgery. The Christensen agate guinea has been reproduced by skilled contemporary glass artists. Some sell openly as art. Others have been knowingly passed off as genuine. Authentication is a serious business. Collectors send marbles to senior figures the way coin collectors send coins to graders. It's a small, polite, intensely informed community of people watching each other's hands very closely. Most of the people who collect antique marbles seriously are over 60. Many of them are over 70. Stanley Block was 87 when he died. The question the community asks itself at every show is, what happens next? The marbles themselves will be fine. Glass is patient. A marble made in Lauscha in 1880 has already survived a transatlantic voyage, 2 world wars, 100 American children's pockets, the rise and fall of an entire manufacturing economy, and the indifference of 3 or 4 generations who did not know what they were looking at. It will outlast all of us, but the knowledge might not. The thing the collectors actually have, the thing they have spent 40 and 50 years building, is not the marbles. It's the ability to look at a marble and know which decade, which workshop, perhaps which glassmaker, to pick up a small piece of glass and read its biography in 20 seconds. That knowledge lives in a few thousand heads in the world right now. Some of those heads are very old. What people keep discovers worlds like this one, a different object, a different community, a different story hiding in plain sight, because some things are worth keeping.